Hi guys, my name is Brittany. I am the director of photography and digital media at the Honey Pot, and today we are be talking to Madisyn Gifford. She is a Vancouver native and a singer and songwriter. She just came out with her song 21, and the music video is now live on her YouTube channel. And we also got to talk to her today about the filming process of the music video, which was all done in Oahu. And then also we got to talk about some mental health and her song Dancing on This Line. And we also got to hear about her future plans. So thank you so much for watching, and let us know in the comments what your favorite part of the video was. Hi, Madisyn. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Welcome to the Honey Pot. And so
Thank
for our
you.
first question, can you tell our viewers just a little bit about yourself?
I'm a singer-songwriter, recording artist from Vancouver, BC, and I have been writing my entire life, but I didn't start writing music until I was around 17, and it quickly became my favorite thing in the entire world. And now I do that as my job, and it's the best job in the entire world.
Yay, that's super exciting. So your song 21 just released. What has the reaction been like for you?
It's been so positive, actually. And like, I'm so stoked on it because I love the song so much and it makes me so happy. And it seems like it's being really well received. I was lucky enough to get to film the music video as like a compilation of my time living in Oahu recently. And it was just like the coolest thing ever. Getting to have the opportunity to have your best friends in any content that you make is always like my favorite thing ever. So, anyway, people have really been liking it, and I love it a lot too.
That's awesome. So that was actually our next question. So,
Oh, dear, sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. The music video, you said it featured footage from your time living in Oahu. What could you kind of like talk about some of your experiences there? And then what is your favorite thing about being there?
Oh, that's hard. I was there. I was living in Pupukea, which is on the North Shore of Oahu. I was there for just over 3 months. I plan on going back for a little bit of a longer period of time, probably next year. Um, and my favorite thing about it is just how like homey I feel there. I love the people. I love the culture. Everything moves a little bit slower there. I think my favorite thing, if I had to pick a favorite thing, is that if something happens in your life, if stuff goes sideways, you can just like go for a swim, like a really nice swim, and like you have your pick of like really great beaches. And that's probably like my favorite thing ever. I miss the surfing too. I'm not very good, but I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. So, yeah, I've never been. I've always wanted to, and I'm definitely not a surfer, so like I'd be cheering everyone on from like shore, being like, good job, guys."
It's so magical. And there's so many things, like it's obviously a surf town, like that's literally
Mhm.
why people go to the North Shore, but there's so many other things there. The food is incredible, the people are incredible, it's beautiful. Hikes are amazing.
Ugh, I love that. I love that you got to experience that, and then you also got to like feature it as like your music video. Like
Yeah.
that's something that you're gonna be able to look on when you're older and be like, "Oh my gosh, remember like back in the day when we were
Yeah.
21, we all went." Like that was super fun.
I'm so grateful that I did that, honestly, and like that I got to do that with my best friends also and like make so many amazing friends while I was there. It was like the coolest experience in the whole world.
That's awesome. So, kind of going back to like your writing, so you're also a songwriter. Where do you usually grab your inspiration from?
It really depends. I'm very fascinated with interpersonal relationships, and relationships in general. I always have been. So I do tend to like grab from that area of my life. But honestly, like whenever I'm feeling like a very intense feeling, my first reaction is always to write about it. It always has been. So a lot of the time I'll kind of write like little hooks when I like go for walks or like when I'm just chilling, or little lines that pop into my head. And then eventually I'll just like have the urge to pick up my guitar, and it kind of will all just come together from there. And that's usually like how it works for me. But it's honestly different for every song, like slightly at least different.
Yeah, so well, me personally, I like learning about songwriting processes just because it's every artist is different in how they do stuff. And even like day to day, they're different. So it's like even the same artist
100%.
is like, well, I did this. And then the next day I'm like, nah, that didn't work for me this time.
Yeah.
So have you ever been into like a writing session? And usually, and if you have, like, what is that uh, kind of come about? Do you usually have concepts in mind, or do you just have like a beat that you're like, oh, this is really cool?
It
And then,
depends on the song. Sorry to interrupt.
oh, no, you're good.
It depends on the song. I write for other people sometimes, which is like a completely different experience because it's not about me, it's about them. But I'm just like obsessed with the craft of songwriting and like putting words together in a way that sounds nice and means something. So that's obviously like really different. But when it comes to going into writing sessions for myself, I tend to write with like the same few people that I'm really comfortable with. Um, and it sometimes I'll come in with an idea of like sometimes I'll have a song pretty much written, but I just don't have any chords and or production. So I'll bring it in, I'll be like, this is a song, let's build something around it. Like that's kind of what I had with Foreclosure. The last song on my record, I Hate Your Guts. And Jared kind of and I kind of just like built the song around it. Or sometimes like for example with the song Hope You're Well, like I had the line, I've said one too many stupid things I can't take back. Got so good at talking, I fell off my own track. I don't think I can't swear, right?
You can if you want.
Okay. Anyway, yeah. Got so good at talking shit, I fell off my own track. And he played the chords at the start of that song, and that melody kind of just like popped into my head, and then we just like built it from there. And that's kind of usually how it goes, where it's for like any of my writing is like I'll have a line in my phone that or like in my head that's been like circling around and around, and then eventually I'll just like find something that like fits with it. It always starts with the words for the most part for me.
Oh, it's cool though. Like it's kind of like, do you usually use kind of writing sessions more as like a therapy? Like you're gonna talk about some deep stuff, or do you try to kind of keep it? I mean, I guess it would be different when you're with someone like the kind of core group of people. You're like, okay, we can open up a little bit more. But then when you're writing with someone else, you're like, should I talk about that? Like, I don't know you that well.
Yeah, I mean it kind of depends. For the most part, the songs that are like very personal, I just by chance tend to write those by myself and bring them to my producers, and then they're already written. Um, I'm very open when it comes to my writing, but when it comes to like talking about things in sessions, I hold back a little bit for the other person's sake. I just don't like making people uncomfortable. But for the most part, when I'm like writing with people, I have a really dark sense of humor, and coping is kind of or like humor is kind of my coping mechanism. So like I tend to write about like intimate or like personal topics with like a funny spin on it when I'm writing with other people, and I also really like that as well. So it just depends. I'm pretty much an open book though. I think most songwriters kind of are. Um, I only hold back talking about certain things, like I said, so I don't make other people uncomfortable. I'm pretty cool talking about anything.
Oh yeah. Like I think it's really cool when that like songwriters are so open, because I think that makes for really beautiful music, because when you are open about something and you like finally put it out, the people who are like your fans or who might not have known you, they kind of feel that slight connection to you, and they're like, well, they just went through this and they made this beautiful song out of it, and I'm going through this right now and I'm really sad. So it's like I can use the song to kind of help and like help me cope with whatever is kind of going on. And even if it's not like the same situation, because everyone's has different situations, it's kind of nice to be able to be like, hey, I'm not alone and it's okay. And if I have to cry to a song, I'll cry to a song. Like
Feeling seen, whether it's by people around you or like through media that you consume, is one of the most important things, I think. And it's my main goal when it comes to like creating stuff, is making people feel seen. Like sorry, my work group chat keeps going on. Sorry. Like my goal when writing the record that I'm writing right now has been to think in my head, I cannot believe I'm going to say this out loud, or I'm going to put this on a piece of paper when I put it down. And that's coming from someone who's really open, but I wanted to make myself really uncomfortable, because I think that that's like where you get the best art and like where people will connect with it the most. And I think it's kind of songwriters' job to make themselves uncomfortable so they can make other people comfortable, I guess.
No, I actually really like that though. I like how you worded that. Like you're making yourself like uncomfortable to make other people comfortable because that's kind of what music is, honestly.
Yeah,
Everyone
100%.
everyone's talking about their really uncomfortable situations and it's like I could never do that. Like I could never, I mean, I'm not a songwriter, but it's like that's a takes a lot of guts to be able to be like, "Hi, like I'm gonna write this song about this situation." And it's not just about you at that kind of point. Like you're writing for you, obviously, because it's your art and it's yours, but you're also kind of making it into a situation that other people can relate to. And so it kind of takes, I don't know, maybe you think differently, but I think it kind of takes it off of your chest a little bit. Like, yes, this is a situation that's like really close to me and it's something I'm going through, but because I'm writing a song about it, it kind of takes the pressure off you a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think it depends on the song. I think for me, the most relieving part of songwriting is, I think you have to have a certain level of self-awareness in order to write songs that connect with people. Um, and I love blowing up my own spot in my music and talking about ways that I messed up, or that I can improve. And I think that there's something very relieving about that, like putting out music into the world where I'm like literally, and I hope you're well, I'm just talking about things that I've done wrong. Or in Dancing on the Sun, I'm talking about a lot that's very personal to me. I'm really blowing on my own spot. And it's like taking the power away from those things and being like, I'm human, and other people will listen to that and be like, yeah, me too, you know? And it feels really good. And I think it feels good for all parties.
Definitely. So you did just mention Dancing on the Sign, and we kind of wanted to ask about it.
Yeah.
So could you tell us a little bit more about the song, like kind of going into as much detail as you'd like? Because I do
Yeah.
know it's kind of personal or very personal, honestly.
Yeah.
So could you kind of tell us a little bit more like the backstory behind it, how it came about?
Yeah. That song I wrote very recently after getting diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, and after having a year and a bit of some really tough mental health stuff. And I had kind of been going through like getting misdiagnosed and going on medications that weren't right for me and things like that. And I was just really going through it. And I kind of wrote that song when I was at rock bottom a little bit. And that was one of those songs where I sat there and I was like, I cannot believe I'm putting this on a piece of paper. But it felt really good. And I remember feeling so seen after I wrote it and feeling like, okay, I'm I'm finally able to like talk about this, because when it comes to mental health stuff, I feel like it's really easy to talk about things after they happen, and be like, yeah, I was really struggling in this way and this way. But it's really hard to actually go to someone and talk about what you're going through when you're going through it, especially for someone like me who has borderline personality disorder, because I'm constantly trying to make other people feel comfortable, um, or present myself in a way that best pleases the people around me. So like I'll lie to my therapist. I and that's just what it is. So writing that song was really cathartic for me and it felt really good. It's really honest. Every word in it is true. Um but I think it was worth it that I put it out because it seems like people really connected with it, and that feels so good to me. Like having people message me. I've never had as many people message me saying that they like really connected with the song or needed a song or like thanked me for putting it out more than that one. And that's like the coolest thing in the entire world. It felt so good.
No, I love that because, yes, it's a very, very personal song. And I think when we're listening to it, we can tell that. So I'm glad like people have had a good reaction to it because I think it's a very beautiful song. It is
Thank you.
stunning. Like it's one of my favorites. I mean,
Uh,
21 right now is honestly my favorite right now. Like
so fun. I love it.
it's just fun. Like it's a fun like summer bop. Like it's good. But then dancing on this line is just I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's just very you just can feel it. Like you feel what you were trying to get across. So you
Thank
did it very well.
you. That. That's very kind. I really appreciate that.
Of course. So kind of staying along the lines of like mental health. So you've talked about the importance of bringing mental health to the forefront of the conversation. Could you kind of tell us, I mean, we kind of did go along with this in Dancing on This Line, but can you kind of tell us just a little bit more about like why it's so important to you to be able to like speak out about mental health?
Yeah, I mean, it's really important to me, I think, because I never would have been able to deal with the issues that I've like the issues that I've had to face in my life if it wasn't for other people being brave enough to speak about their own struggles themselves. Like I started dealing with anxiety at a really, really young age, and I never talked to anyone about it. And it wasn't until around like 2013, 2014 when a few of the like YouTubers and stuff that I watched in early high school like openly talked about their own anxiety or mental health struggles. And I felt like, oh wow, like this is something that's like okay, and like other people deal with this too. Um, and in the fact that like in the past recent years, it's really come to the forefront and people are a lot more open about talking about it and destigmatizing it. I think it's so important because mental health emergencies and and really really sad and scary things happen when things are stigmatized and when people don't feel that they can speak about what they're going through or what they've experienced. And that's so sad and upsetting to me because we're humans and we're so relationship based and we're meant to speak about things and sort through things together. And so I think that mental health is just something that like comes along with being human, and we should all be like open to discussing and being there for each other through.
Yeah, I love that. So I kind of grew up a little bit before the YouTube era of them like actually talking about stuff, especially like the first one I remember who talked about it was Zoe Sugg,
Mm,
and she talked about her anxieties and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, like my anxiety manifests a lot differently than hers. I've dealt with like depression and all growing up and like eating disorders and just like it's been a roller coaster if
yeah.
we want to talk like it's my childhood was a roller coaster. And I remember growing up that like no one talked about it. Like
Hmm.
no one said anything about depression. I now know that my family knew. They just never said anything because it was
Mm,
kind of like a let's just not talk about it. And I'm like,
yeah.
why didn't anyone tell me? Because I was like, why am I like this? Like,
Yeah.
why am I so upset or depressed and like I don't want to do anything anymore? So I think it's great that like the new generation is growing up in this time. Like it makes me so happy that everyone's talking about their mental health and being like, this isn't new. It's not a stigma. Like if you have depression, if you have anxiety, if you have BPD, if you have whatever, like we're all people. We're
Yeah.
all like loving each other and it's gonna be okay. And we will figure
Yeah.
what steps you might need if it's medication, if it's not medication, if it's something else, then we can all kind of help each other and it's not weird or awful to have a mental health issue. Everyone does. At least in
100%.
my opinion, everyone does.
No, 100%. I mean, like everyone goes through things, even like
Mhm.
everyone gets anxious and everyone gets depressed, even if they don't have depression or anxiety. Like
Mhm.
they're all human things. It's just human things get taken to different extremes for different people,
Mhm.
depending on different situations. And like, I don't know. I just think stigma and like a lack of conversation is like a part of why the issue has gotten to as bad as it's gotten to in general. Like I've heard a lot of people in older generations saying that they don't think that things like mental health issues and stuff were really as prevalent until more recent years because of like phones and media and stuff, which to a certain extent I can like be like, yeah, I guess like phones definitely like come and play or like constantly like consuming media or like having news in your face, like yeah, that it affects your mental health, but also like I personally don't believe it would have gotten as bad as it's gotten if it wasn't for the stigma that's like built and built and built over the years. Because like it just doesn't help anyone, it only hurts. And everyone's always dealt with human things, you know, like you said, it's they're human things. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Because even just in my family, there's so many mental health issues that like no one wants to talk about.
Yeah, 100%. And
I
like
mean,
it's
there's been a few that have had like medications that so like we know, but it's like at the same time, it's
don't
like
talk about
y'all like
it.
y'all like to like push this under the rug. And I'm like, so when I was dealing with the same thing, why didn't anyone be like, hey, like
Are
you're
you
gonna be
okay?
fine.
Yeah,
You're 13 years old. It's gonna be fine. It is going to be okay. And
yeah.
it's like I was kind of just left to my own devices, and it's like that's not healthy. Like because I
Yeah,
didn't
it's
know what was
people
wrong.
get uncomfortable, and it's because of that stigma and stuff, right? Like societally, like people get so uncomfortable talking about it. Because even like I come from a family that's really open, and we have like very open and loving relationships. But like everyone knew also when I was like really going through it, and no one talked about it with to my face. They
Mhm.
definitely talked about it when I wasn't there, but it wasn't an open conversation with me. And like I had to be the one to steer that boat and be like, okay, let's talk about this. Not even just for me, but for all of us, because we all have our stuff. Um, and I think that that's just like that's not a me thing. It's just like a beautiful part of like the younger generation, I think, is that we're all like, okay, like let's sort this out. Let's talk about it. Let's fix it. And not just put band-aids on things.
Oh, for sure. Like that, it makes me so happy that like it's starting to get a lot better for like the younger generation. Like
100%.
not to go into too much detail, but like one of my family members came to me and said, "Hey, your one of our younger kids are going through something." And I was like, "Did you know that I deal with the same thing? Like if you want me to talk to them, I'm more than happy to. If you want me to talk to you first and like figure out a game plan, like I'm more than happy to like kind of tell them, hey, this is what I was doing when I was your age, but also like here's how I helped myself or whatever." And I'm like, you just let me know what you want me to do. Like I'm here. And I was like, did you not know that I dealt with this? And they're like, no. And I was like, oh, it's like, so I just didn't do my job and tell you, like, sorry. But like it's good because they felt comfortable enough to say something. And then
Yeah.
I it was like, hey, I've dealt with the same thing. Like
Yeah.
everything that you just said is what I felt when I was 12 and 13, which is kind of around the age of how old they are right now. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you need me to talk, or if you want resources, like I have a whole list of stuff, like I'll send it over. So I think the younger generation is gonna be better off from the mental health conversations, and I like it. And
Agreed.
also, your song helps.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Okay, so kind of going back to your music, is there any fun plans for the second half of 2022 or early 2023?
I'm definitely gonna have one more song come out this year, which is super fun. It's another fun one. And I am gonna have a second album coming out next year, which is crazy town. I can't believe I'm doing this to myself all over again, but also I'm really excited about it.
I can't wait. Like, I'm so excited. I liked your first album, but like,
Thank
oh, I'm
you. I
so
really
excited.
appreciate that.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah. That album, I Hate Your Guts, is literally my baby. I put like my entire heart and soul into that record. And I'm, as an artist, I think I've like even grown since then a lot and developed my sound. And I'm super, super stoked on this next record. I think it's gonna be like really fun, and I'm really proud of everything that we've been creating so far.
oh, that makes me super excited. Like usually I've realized from a lot of different artists, my favorite album is usually their second one. So even
I
if I,
think,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm like, even if I really, really like your first album, usually, because it's also you've grown so much between the first and the second, you've kind of navigated the music industry a little bit, kind of your artistry, and then like the second album just like pops off usually, and I'm like, "Ah, so good." So
just
I'm
figure it out.
excited.
Figure it out. I don't get what people say about like sophomore slump because I agree with you. I feel like the second record is always like so good. Not always, but for most artists, like same thing where like I feel like their second or third record, I'm usually like, that's my favorite.
Oh, for sure. Like the one that like really pops into my head is the Jonas Brothers second album. Like that's my favorite
Yeah.
album of all time. Like
Really? I love that. That's
it's
so
a
cute.
it's a good album. And like just from their whole like discography, I'm like, your first album was like, I mean, it was good. I mean, there's bops on there that I listen to
Yeah.
this day. But like that second one, the self-title, I was like, there's a reason you self-titled it, okay?
Yeah, 100%. You can only do that once.
Yeah,
You
you
better
can only do it once. And you picked the perfect album because the other
Yeah.
albums, I'm like, no, you couldn't have. Like, that
Yeah.
could never have been the self-titled.
Yeah.
It's just like, I like the second one, so I'm excited to see what your second one is, and I'll probably
Thank
like
you.
it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, last question. Is there anything else you would want to plug for our viewers to check out?
I think just my two most recent singles that we've been talking about, 21 and Dancing on This Line. And then also the 21 music video, just because I'm like, I think it's really fun, and people will enjoy watching it. I've watched it like so many times.
Same, actually. Like
Thank you.
it's a good music video. And
Thank
it's just
you.
like you guys just seem so happy. Like it's
We
just
were happy.
yeah. I mean, you were in Oahu,
Hawaii
so
fixed me. That island, like it's called the Island of Healing for a reason. Oahu. That is a magical, magical place. Anyone needs some fixing to do, just go.
oh yeah, I might be there on the next flight. Like
Yeah.
awesome. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We're gonna put all your links down below with like the links to the music video and everything. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, that was our interview with Madisyn Gifford. We absolutely loved talking to her. We think she is a gem of a human. We are so honored that we got to interview her. We think that she is going to be an artist that you need to watch. Definitely add her music to your playlist. We'll have all of the links down below, along with her music video. And we just super excited. Definitely go follow her. Keep an eye out for her. We know we will at the Honey Pop. And thank you so much for watching.